Welcome to our series on how to stand up paddle with Blue Planet Surf. Today we're going to talk about CPER, or the different phases of the stroke.
We went over the basics. Let's talk a little bit about a little bit more advanced stroke technique things. And I like to kind of introduce people to that right away, because if you kind of learn bad technique and you practice it and you do it a bunch, it's actually harder to unlearn it later. So if you can learn proper technique kind of early on, that really helps with how quickly you're going to progress in the sport. So the phases of the stroke, let's go over that real quick. There's basically the four phases are the catch, the power phase, the release or exit, and then the recovery back to the front. So the catch is probably I think one of the most important parts of the stroke. And in the catch is like you want to get your paddle forward as far as you can and get a nice plant your paddle, your blade all the way into the water. So a lot of people only use like half or 2/3 of their blade. They got only the paddle this deep into the water, and then what happens is you get a lot of turbulence. So what you want to do is make sure your whole blade goes in the water. So that in the front of the stroke is putting the whole blade, and you can kind of slice it in sideways a little bit, or stab it into the water like a spear gun kind of thing, and then make sure that the water is all the way to the top of the blade, so you can only see the shaft part. If you still see your paddle sticking out, you shouldn't be pulling it. So the catch comes before the power phase. A lot of times people pull their paddle into the water like this, and they're like already pulling on it as it's entering the water, and then what happens is you're sucking air bubbles down into the water, and then it makes your paddle slip. So it's when your paddle has air around it and slipping, it's kind of like when you're trying to accelerate on the car on ice or whatever. Your tires are just spinning, right? So you want to keep that nice traction, and to do that you just get a good catch in the front. Then the power phase is from where you apply the power, and it's actually a pretty quick thing. You want to kind of do a quick powerful pull on the paddle, and then by the time you get here, you're already coming back off. So you're only pulling to your feet. So it's a quick jerking on the paddle, and then here you come out. So then the exit is by your feet.
Oh,
A lot of people kind of pull. They think like to pull, and you're going to pull as long as they can. They come way back here and then throw water behind them and stuff like that. But anything behind your feet is kind of very inefficient actually. So you're better off just taking quick strokes and keeping them in the front of your feet. Okay. So the exit, it comes at your feet, and you kind of slide the paddle back out, and you feather your blade. We'll talk about that later, but then during the recovery, you're bringing the paddle back forward, and that's kind of a moment to relax, kind of straighten up your body during the recovery, and twist, and then reach forward again and do the next catch.
Okay. So you call this catch, and then pull, right?
Yeah. So that's the catch. And then the power phase.
Oh, power.
And then the release or exit, and then the recovery.
Okay.
Catch, power, release, exit, recovery. Yeah. And the catch is really important, not to like pull the paddle down into the water like that. Like we're talking about like this. Do that, and you just pull air, like slipping on ice. So it's catch and power. So you got to take that little, make that a solid catch before you pull it.
Oh, I did it wrong. Okay.
Well, and really, when you're in the water, what happens is you get a nice catch. You plant your paddle. It's like sticking it into chocolate or cement. You plant your paddle and you pull yourself past it. Like your paddle is just planted in the water. You pull out, plant it again, and you're pulling yourself past the paddle. It's not like the paddle's moving backwards; you're moving past the paddle.
Got it.
So it's like catch, power, release, and recovery.
Catch, power, release, and recovery?
Recovery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something like, so you want to keep your paddle close to the board even when you start coming up here, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, and even I think maybe even when I'm paddling, my paddle goes further out.
Yeah, so that like one way to kind of get the paddle out of the water is to just drop your top hand.
Oh.
Like drop your top hand to the side. But what happens then is your paddle, if you do that, your paddle comes very high off the water, right? So then you're making like this big circular motion with the paddle. So really, the more efficient way to do it is to kind of exit and come back almost like in a small oval. So keep the blade very close to the water. Also, if you're losing your balance, your paddle's right there where you can kind of catch yourself. So it's more efficient to kind of just keep a smaller, or keep the blade close to the water as you're doing the recovery.
Okay. So as far as where your power comes from, and I'm guilty of this, it's from my arms, but it should be from your core. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that when we go over the twisting motion using your core and the twisting from your body to propel yourself forward.
Okay.
So that'll be in the next episode.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Hope you liked our videos. Give us a thumbs up, please. Subscribe to the Blue Planet Surf YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Aloha.
Aloha.